Lovely to talk to you again. I want to talk tonight about um, me time online, how the internet has so helped us in our lives, and how I cannot imagine not being able, for instance, to talk to you. And
That's
what
wonderful. I was writing a blog on this topic. So again, you prove me right.
synchronicity,
There is
synchronicity.
something that touches our mind at the same time. So yes, thank you so much, Adrian. I think it's a very hot topic, and it's not only the viral power of online media, but it's how people connect and how the virtual reality is taking precedent, and it's offering us so much more in terms of tools and digital communication, and um, from the basic aspects of our day-to-day life, like mobile banking and everything else, staying in touch with friends and tweeting everything, to making a connection, a soul connection with somebody you never met.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm
Well, the
so
reason,
grateful, Adrian, for you being in my life. You'll never be able to understand how much you mean to me, even we never met,
Mhm.
and how important is that we share these great conversations, and how many thousands of people all over the world are listening to us just because we are there for them, and we have this privilege of being there for them and sharing with them. Over to you, Adrian.
do you know that is so amazing, and I'm so grateful for having you in my life and these conversations that we have. And as you say, it's a passion that we both have to get our message out to people so that um, somebody who might be in a feeling not that good, and they might suddenly hear us and think, oh, that just sparked something that resonated with me, and that's going to help me. And it's just that thought, just one person. And when I first thought of the internet, and how it enriches our lives, it was because I had a conversation with somebody this morning who is actually in Goa at the moment, and we were just messaging each other. And it's somebody I haven't seen for a very, very long time, and he's in a very fortunate position because he is a an investment person, and he's sort of semi-retired, but he travels all over the world. But while he's traveling, he doesn't travel quotes for business, but he travels. And then, as he said, I can just, as long as he's got Wi-Fi somewhere, he can actually work. He can talk to clients. He can, and what he does really helps people as well. So it was, and so we were just talking, and I thought to myself, what an awesome subject. And the fact that we talk once a week, and as you say, we've never met, but through the power of this wonderful invention, we are able to talk to each other, and not just have a conversation, but also help other people. And as you say, thousands of people all over the world who are listening in. Maybe they're listening, tonight, but maybe, they're not going to pick it up for a few days. And that is just, the most incredible thing. I remember as a child, my mother would write, and I had two aunts and my grandmother in America. And my mother used to write these long airmail letters, and it used to take days for them to get there. And she was very good. She was very efficient. And what she would do, when they replied to her, she would write on the back of it, replied and the date. And it was really funny. I was once in Israel. I got cousins in Israel, and I had visited them, and we were just talking. And they said, the thing is that your mother is wonderful, but is also, it's dreadful because we just get a letter from her. We just reply to one and then she replies straight away. And then we've got to reply again, and they were all saying how wonderful she was at just, keeping in contact. Well, if she was alive now and had the benefits of, Skype and all the rest of the things that we have here, she would just find this so incredible that you can, contact people all over the world, but instantly, and it's enriched our lives. And I think there are times where you have to be really careful because sometimes it can be too much. It's like there's no let up from it. I was out somewhere last weekend, in fact, and I was on a bus and there was a woman behind me and she was talking on her phone, but it wasn't just a yes, and bye, a sort of like 3-second conversation. She was having this really, really heavy conversation and it was very loud, and she was sitting right behind me, and I turned to the lady sitting next to me and I said, do we really have to hear this? And she said, I just find it dreadful. And I said, I know. I said, it's like, I don't want to know this woman's business. It's nothing to do with me. And it's a real intrusion. And sometimes, this wonderful invention, this phone of ours, so that we can always be in touch with people, can be a bit of a burden. It can be a bit of it sort of is an intrusion when you just want a bit of me time, and you don't want to be contacting people, and you just want to be sort of quiet and on your own, and suddenly the phone rings or an email pops up. And what is it about emails? Because we always feel that we have to answer our emails immediately, which is a nonsense, absolute nonsense. And I've got friends who and this frustrates me as well, because as you gather, I like talking, and people text me, message me, and I'd rather they just picked up the phone and talked to me. And you can spend like half an hour going backwards and forwards and sending texts and sending messages, no, I'll meet you at whatever time, and no, we can do this, and no, we can do that. And it's like, seriously, if you just picked up the phone, it would take like 3 seconds to have this conversation, and it would be so much more efficient, and I would feel better about it. And so I find that, and also sometimes you'll text somebody or message somebody and they take ages to reply, and that really frustrates me because I want a response immediately.
So it's true, Adrienne, that people's lives, including mine, including yours, are enhanced by being available and making yourself available online. And instead of waiting, for hours hours on end for the morning newspaper, it's so much, we save so much time, and not only time, but money as well. Because I remember years ago when I was traveling at the beginning of my journey, I was keeping my phone on, and my monthly bill was absolutely huge. I don't want to know. I don't want to mention how much I was paying each month. But then my children introduced me to apps like WhatsApp, or I can't remember their names now. There are a few of them. And I never spend money on calls anymore. And now, wherever I am, they could be there with me. So I just put the video on and I show them what I'm seeing, or I introduce them to my new friends and that sort of stuff, which is basically they're part of my life more than before, simply because I become I came to accept the fact that online is a way of life, and there's nothing wrong with it. And that gives me the chance to save time, to save money, to be closer to people I love and care for. And it's I think it's wonderful, and I'm so grateful for what's happening, for the way the technology progresses. And I know there are people who will bring the argument of, oh, what if, there are the cyber bullies and there are this and that. So, but it's like in real life, you know, it's not any different. If you don't get involved with the wrong kind, they can't come near you. And it's true, on my Facebook page, I each week I have to cancel or block about 1,500 people.
Oh my God.
So it's quite annoying, but
Yeah.
I really want to keep the people I met and the people I engage into great conversations, and we have something in common, rather than having people I never met and they ask me to marry them over Facebook or something stupid like that. So really, it's common sense, and I don't think it's an excuse. I don't think people could say, "Oh, it was far better before the online era because I had control." Actually, you have more control now,
Mm.
and unless you want to make it work into your favor, of course, it's left to the natural calamities, so and natural forces. So it's, to me, is a reason to be excited. It's a reason to be able to get in touch with people I want to share with, moments of you know just conversations, or exchange ideas, and build something together. So what do you think about the people who blame the social media, and they make um, the online reality a bad reality?
Um, it's Marina, it's the same people blaming and not taking responsibility for their own actions. It's exactly the same thing. You know, if a situation occurs and you're blaming something else or somebody else, you're not taking responsibility. You're standing there and saying, "Oh, poor me, I'm a victim." And you know, I've talked about this before, and the only way to not be a victim is to take control of your life. You know, we often talk about we have choices, and it's the same with the internet. We can choose to be bullied by cyber bullies and people like that, or we can do what you do and what I do, is we can just zap them, we can block them from our lives. We can physically do that. We don't have to be aware of people like that. You often get people who'll say, "Oh, I want to be friends with you," and it's like, no, why? I will not be friends with anybody, even on Facebook, unless there is a mutual friend, at least one mutual friend, because there's too many people out there that are. I had a situation ages ago where a man contacted me, and I'm sure a lot of women get this. You know, a man had contacted me, and he sounded quite, and he said, "Could we be friends?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." He was wherever he was, and I was wherever I am, and it was okay. And then he started asking me questions, and I thought, "Oh, this is a bit odd," and I didn't sort of reply straight away. But I was being very sort of cool, very casual about it all, and he suddenly said to me, he said to me that he had a son in America, and he was in the forces or something. This is the story he told me, that he was in the forces, and he was in, I think he said Afghanistan. I can't remember, but he was divorced, and he had a son who was in America somewhere, and but he made very little reference. He just told me, and then a couple of days later, he came up and he said to me, "I have a favor to ask you," and I'm laughing, but it was just,
Yeah.
seriously, this is so obviously a con. He said, "I've just had this I don't know whether he said a letter or I've just been informed, blah blah blah, that my son who's got this very rare disease, needs to go into hospital, and of course I want to go and visit him, but I can't. I haven't got the money." And so, would you possibly lend me about $1,200? I was like, whoa, excuse me. Um, and he said, you know, and he said, I really wouldn't ask, but I have nobody else to ask, and blah, blah, blah. And he went on like this. And I came back and I said, you know, I'm really, you know, I didn't say, listen, I think you're lying. I said, do you know, I'm really sad. It's very sad to hear about your son. But, you know, to be honest with you, I'm in horrendous financial difficulties and I couldn't even lend you that money if I wanted to. I'm awfully sorry. And you know what? I never heard from him again. And you have to do stuff like that. It's like getting these weird emails sometimes that you get.
But you see, in real life goes the same. If you want to get rid of a friend, which is not really your friend, you just lend him some money and you'll never hear back from them.
Absolutely.
So, but you know, it's if we come to look at Facebook, for example, which is supposed to be a platform for sharing, you know, sharing events and enhancing each other's life with inspiring each other. And you know, of course you could become friends, and like we did. And I just, you know, because I have to delete so many friends as called friends, people I never met before, it's quite labor intensive. And I'm thinking, okay, so I met perhaps over 20,000 people in the last 3 years, all over the world, going to different conferences, seminars. You know how this happens. And there are people who I actually met. So that most of them, they are not on Facebook. They email me or they text me or they WhatsApp me, whatever it is. But I actually have this amount of people I'm in touch with.
Wow.
However, the people on Facebook, that the friends, it's called friends on Facebook, they are a different kind. What do you think about?
Yes, because they're not, as you say, they're not people that you've met. They're people that have seen your lovely picture, your lovely face, and they think, oh, I'll see if I can be friends with her. And they want to take advantage of you in some way. And that's what I'm saying. You have to make choices. And when these people turn up, and they might be very genuine people, but you just have to step back and say, do I need all these people in my life? And if they really wanted to be real friends with you, then I think that there is a way of as you say, of contacting people. You know, they could go onto your website. They don't have to do it through Facebook, which is has become in a way a very superficial way of connecting with people. There are people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I know and I care about, and I love to see things from them, and I love to see their pictures and all sorts. But there's loads of other people who call me, quote, their friends, and I think, I'll get, 3, 4 friend, requests a day, and I look at these people and I think, who are they? I don't know them, and so I just delete them. I don't even become friends with them because I don't. My choice is to enrich the world, enrich people that I and enrich my life, and then enrich the lives of people that I care about and people that I come in contact with. As I say, the people that I know on Facebook, I've got family in America. I've got friends in America. I've got friends in Canada. I've got friends all over Singapore, all over the world. I've got people all over the world, and those people I love to contact with. If I see something from them, it's lovely. But I don't want to be a friend to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Because life is too short, and I've got other stuff to do. I don't spend that much time on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to arrive to. I was wondering, so how long do you think it's healthy for somebody to spend on Facebook on a, let's say, during a week?
Altogether or on a daily basis? I know some
Daily
people spend
basis is
ages.
fine, yes.
Yeah, I mean, some people spend ages. I know they do, and it gets very distracting. You know, you do it, I do it. We'll put something up there about, you know, our talk. I'll put something up there about my book or about my coaching or something I'll put up there. But it's very easy to suddenly see somebody's post and you go, oh, that looks fun. And then you repost it. And then you start looking at other people's posts. And suddenly, you know, an hour and a half's gone and you've done no work. So you have to be really, really careful. And I try my very, very best not to get sucked into that. I'm much better than I used to be. I used to get really, really, but I know that there are people who just spend, you know, hours and hours on it every single day. And it's absolutely crazy. And yet, you know, I know other people who maybe go on there maybe once a week or something. And I admire their control because I can't do that. You know, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I wonder what's going on in the world, you know, and then I have to check in with Facebook to see what people are doing. But if nothing's happening of any great interest to me, I'll come out of it and that's it, you know, and it'll be maybe 5-10 minutes. But if I see one thing that I like, oh, that's really interesting, and then I'll repost it or make a comment. And so it can really, really depend. I mean, I know that doesn't really answer the question, does it? But I think that you just have to be, it's like anything, you just have to be sensible about the time that you're on there. And if you're on there, it has to be, you know, it should be to enrich your connections, enrich the people that you're talking to, and enrich yourself. But I get very frustrated. There's a lot of people who, you know, they'll talk politics, they'll talk, you know, and they'll show pictures of, you know, animals and all sorts of, but bad pictures, you know. And I don't think it's a place to do that. It's not a soapbox place. And I think that's very bad. And they say, you know, repost this if you agree. And I never ever repost anything like that because I just think it's emotional blackmail. To be honest, it's like many years ago. I remember sitting in the cinema and it was a charity ad came on before the main feature, and with that, when it finished, people were coming up and down the rows with collection boxes, and I was horrified. And I actually said to the friend I was with, and I can't remember, it was, as I said, it was a long time ago, and I remember saying to this friend, how dare they? You know, we've come to the cinema to see, you know, to be entertained, and the last thing we want is to have this, because it's emotional blackmail, you know, when they sort of jingle the tin in front of you, and it's like, and then you feel really mean if you don't give them money. I give to charities, but I do it in my own way. I'm not, you know, I'm not mean, but I refuse to give. We've started in the UK getting all these ads again about charities, Oxfam charities, and it's like, I think it's really, really bad that they're doing it, because to me it's emotional blackmail.
So it is, what you are saying is that Facebook becomes more and more a commercial place where you are sold things or ideas, yeah. And instead of being what's supposed to be a place of sharing your photos and, you know, your personal thoughts, because the question is what is in your mind usually. So coming back to the experiences we both had in our relationships with other people, friends, family, and you have to see this trend which is taking over our generation as well, because internet used to be a huge attraction for younger generation, for generation XY. So, or for younger kids, they spend all their time playing games and all of that, which we know each parent is worried. But now our parents even, they spend all their what's supposed to be offline, take a walk in a park, go and just smell the roses, spend time in a garden. They don't anymore, which is really worrying when you see a 78-year-old lady spending so much time on Facebook. I think it's I don't know, it's an upside down reality. I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah, I actually think, Marina, I think it's very sad if I promise I will not get to 78 and be sitting in front of a laptop somewhere, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. When I started coaching, and somebody had said to me, you know, you need to be connecting with people, you need to be on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it. And I was like, I want to help people. I don't want to be sitting in front of a laptop. You know, that's not my passion. My passion is going out and talking to people. That's what I want to do. And so I will never be that 78-year-old lady.
So coming back to our perspective, if you have in front of us a blank page, on one side, we really need to draw a line in the middle. So it's the life offline and life online. What would you put on each category? What you put, you know, to, let's say, if we are to say making new friends, where would that should go, on what part of the page?
That should go offline. That should definitely go offline. There is nothing nicer. You do it, I do it. Nothing nicer than being out and sitting down and talking to somebody. I actually, funnily enough, reposted something the other day on Facebook about giving. It came from Louise Hay, if I remember rightly, and it said today is Give a Compliment Day. And I was sitting on a train, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and the girl sitting next to me, the woman sitting next to me, had these really nice shoes. Nothing sort of fancy, but they just looked really comfortable and they looked lovely, and my sort of shoes. So I said to her, "Oh, I love your shoes." A total stranger. So she said, "Oh, thank you so much." And she then proceeded to tell me the story of the shoes, because apparently they were her mother's originally, and her mother had bought them and found them very uncomfortable. So she said, you know, they weren't cheap shoes, so why don't you wear them? So she said, all right. She said, it's really weird. She said, because I said, oh, they look really comfortable. And she said, they are. She said, I cannot understand why my mother didn't find them comfortable. So I said, well, it's really good because you're now wearing them. And when she got off, it was like, bye-bye. And it was so lovely. And I often do that. I often talk to strangers. And I can remember my mother doing that to people. And I was like, as a child, so embarrassed. But I think it's the most wonderful way of connecting with people.
Okay, so Adrienne, okay, so now we making friends. What about shopping? Would you put on the offline life or online life?
Okay, and okay, this is very interesting. I went out to dinner with some very, very good friends of mine, people I've known for years, last night. And one of them has, well, she actually got married just before Christmas, but she's having a proper sort of thing in the summer. And even her daughters don't know that she got married. Anyway, long story, it's really quite funny. So we were talking and I said to her, well, it's really strange because I've been thinking about what can we buy you? Because it's not as if you're like 20 years old and you know, setting up home. You've got everything. You've got a home, you know, you've got stuff, you know, they're now living together. And I said, you know, so it's really, really difficult. So we were talking about various things, you know, that we could buy. And so she said, well, you could always look online. And both the other friend and I both went, oh, no, you don't. you know, there are some things that you have to go out and you have to touch. I don't. There's very little that I buy online. I actually have to say I download books onto my Kindle. I do that online, obviously. I get contact lenses online because it's very easy to do. But mostly my shopping, I like to go out and I like to touch and I like to see things. Um, and I can remember a good friend of mine when it came to Christmas, and he was like, "Oh, you know, this is so easy. I don't have to go to the shops." And I said, "That's a real, for me, that's a real man thing. You know, I'll go online and I'll pick things out." I said, "I have to go and I have to see." I said, "What I might do is I might find something and think, oh, that's really good. And then I might come home and see if I can get it cheaper online. I might do that. But what I tend to do is I'll go to the shops. I like shopping."
I love this. I don't like shopping, and I don't like shopping online either.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's something I can't explain. It just I feel it. I feel it's a waste of time.
Okay.
But I love going to this Sunday markets. You know, where people are coming
Oh,
from
yeah.
different countries, and you experience different kind of foods you never had before. And there are lots of people coming. Because of the smell, perhaps. Smells so delicious. So I'm an offline life type of person. But
Yeah.
what about work? So we talk about making friends, we talk about shopping. What about work?
Well, I think you have to do online. Have to, yes. Yes. A lot of it has to be done online because I I write things and I put them up on various um, you know, health and wellness. You know, there's one in particular that I write for called Watch Fit. That's an online thing. So, you know, I have got people who resonate with me, and there are lots of other experts, fitness experts, health and wellness experts, all on there. So you have to do a lot of your work online. Emails, business emails, you have to answer those. Um, you have to, you know, for instance, with our conversations, we put them online so that people can hear us, so that it's not only the people that are tuning in right now, but the people that want to tune in a couple of days' time because they're not around for whatever reason. So there's a lot of stuff that we do for work that has to, by its very nature, be done online. And I think that's really good. And I think it's a very, you know, you can do lots of research online. And I think that um, that has really made the work life, certainly for me, and I think for loads of people, it's made it far more efficient, much more efficient.
Yes, I totally agree with you because I do my work online and I could be anywhere in the world
Yeah.
and I deliver my work and I can't wait actually. I'm dreaming of somebody who will hire me to travel the world and do my work online.
Well,
That's my dream.
when
I
you
said
find
it and it's a real dream and I know it's going to
that
happen.
sounds
But
amazing. That sounds
I
amazing.
wanted to ask you, so not only about these are things that could apply to each one of us, to
Yeah,
every single one of our listeners.
yeah.
What about marriage?
Marriage online.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there are dating sites. Um, so
What do you make out of the epidemic of dating online, and what is the impact on real life? I mean, do you know of people who met online and they got married and they are still um, offline or online or on, off or on? So,
okay, well,
what do you
I
think?
do
How is
like
that
to.
impacting our reality?
I think the trouble is because even though we're so hugely connected with the rest of the world by being online, I think a lot of times, you know, that People work in environments where maybe the majority of people are married. You know, you might be a woman in her mid-30s or something working in an office where everybody else is married. You might be the only single woman around, you know, and the people that you work with are not necessarily the people that you would want to socialize with in a real situation. And so it's very difficult to meet somebody, to meet that special someone, that you know. So I think sometimes when, especially when people are really, you know, when they're very career minded, when they're very busy and they don't have time, but you know, there's a part of them that says, you know, I would really like to meet somebody, and it's the only way forward. I watched, oh, I can't remember when it was, it's got to be at least, it was well before Christmas, a program that somebody had told me about, that I watched on television, and it was called, I can't remember what it was called now, but basically it was three couples who got married, and it was all arranged, and they never met each other till the day they got married. And it was a phenomenal experiment. It was really good. There was one couple, and they were so, they were both really lovely, and but she was like, she didn't like him, and it was just the most amazing thing. But the bottom line was that after 6 months, they said that it was the best way to get married. To
Wow.
have an arranged marriage, because what had happened was they had been through, they had to get to know each other. What happens is, you know, you meet somebody and you fall in love and whatever that means, and you see them and you're at your best all the time and you get to know each other, and then suddenly you get married and then you start living together, and it's a real adjustment. Because not only are you now living with somebody when you've lived on your own for God knows how many years, you've got to adjust to this whole different thing. And it's really difficult. If you've met somebody, if they, you know, the first time you see them is the day where you say, I do, you get to know them as this person. And I actually think it's a wonderful way. I think it's an amazing way of starting your marriage, of starting your life together, because you can, you know, what had happened in this program was that obviously there were 3 or 4 experts, and they had taken profiles of all these people, I mean like hundreds of people, and they'd come up with, you know, they'd paired 3 up in the end, and it was really interesting, because what they did was, it was the day they got married, and then they went on honeymoon together, and there was one couple who even on honeymoon were starting to argue. It was really funny actually, and then when they came back they moved in together, and that was really interesting. And this one couple that I was telling you about before, I mean, he was so patient with her and he was so lovely. And I thought, if she divorces him now, she's an idiot, because he was just such a lovely man. And in the end, they, out of the 3 couples, one couple said no, they wanted to get divorced. This other couple said that they wanted to stay together and they were going to do this 6-month thing. And they came back in 6 months and they said no, they were going to stay together. And I sat and I cried. It was so lovely. And I thought, maybe that's the answer. Maybe, you know, the answer is that people, you know, go to a matchmaker, or parents, you know, go to a matchmaker, because that's what they used to do, and that's how a lot of religions, a lot of cultures, that's how they used to get married. And in a way, isn't that more romantic than, you know, meeting somebody in some loud bar or something, and then finding out 3 months down the line that he's, I don't know, a serial killer, or that's exaggerating, but that he's got horrible habits or something. And I think when it's not when it's taken out of your hands, but I just think that it's got a very sort of old-fashioned, to me, it's just like, I think that's amazing. I really, really do.
Wow. So this makes me wonder where I'm going wrong with my own expectations. I always imagine this real person in my life, not at all somebody who might be a part of a online experience. I don't know why. Maybe I'm very old-fashioned. But okay, so we talked about making friends, shopping, dating, and getting married. What about speaking with each other?
Well, you can do that online. I mean, we're doing it, and I've had friends, as I say, all over the place, and we'll Skype each other, which is lovely. But it's really strange because the people that I know in the UK, in London, I tend to text or message, and then we just meet up. And that I love. That I absolutely love. I love meeting my friends, and like last night, seeing my friends, and in fact, I was talking to somebody about it today, and I was saying, the thing is, I've known these women for so long, and we don't see each other regularly. We haven't seen each other since well before Christmas, but we sit down, and it's just like we saw each other yesterday, and this conversation just flows, and there's such a huge connection there. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
And would you say that if it wasn't for the online connectivity, you would meet more often?
No, because I don't think so. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think that people are just really, really busy, and we just don't have the time. One of my friends, as I say, she's just got married, so she's very taken up with her man, and he moved in.
That's exciting! Congratulations!
It's wonderful. It's fantastic. And I only found out, it was so funny because we arrived. She came to pick me up, and we drove off to the restaurant. And then when we arrived, she said, "I'm going to have to use my married name," and I was like, "Pardon? What did you say?" So when we sat down at the table, because our other friend was coming from work, and so she was going to be a bit later. So I said, "All right, tell me what's going on."
So you see, in China, they don't have that challenge. You keep your own name when you get married.
Oh, okay.
So that's almost halfway through all the question I got from our listeners, and why I was writing this blog. But it's coming back to a family life. When children sit next to each other and they text each other instead of speaking to each other or with each other, what do you make out of that? Should be parents more responsible and making them to understand that the sound of your voice is more powerful than a text message when you are in the same room? Or how would you put that? How would you show the beauty of human voice and communication, real communication versus online communication?
I think it's very, very difficult. My friend, the one that just got married, she has a granddaughter. She was telling me that on a Thursday, yes, she was saying that she looks after her granddaughter one day a week. Her granddaughter is not quite 2 yet, but she plays with her phone, and she plays with the iPad, and she's got her some games or something, and she plays with it. And I remember very well a friend of mine who's now got 4 granddaughters, But when the first one was born, and I remember going to visit quite often, and she would play with the phone and the iPad, and it's like, for them it's like nothing. It's only strange for us, but it's, for them, they've grown up with it. You know, this child is now, I think, 5, but from the age of 2, she was playing with her granddad's phone, and they have games on there for them, and so it's a way of them learning. And I have to say that both of the friends that I'm talking about, you know, read. One of them is a teacher. My female friend, she's a teacher, so she's very aware of the spoken word, but it's part of a child's education now. That's the thing. They're growing up with this. It's not. I get what you're saying, but I don't see that families think there's anything wrong with it. I think that's it, really.
Wow, this is very this is very real. It's happening in each one of our listeners' lives, and it's happening in our lives, and it's how you react to the new reality and how you make your choices when you feel it's fit to be online, when you feel it's fit to be offline and share, you know, a hug with your friends and a meal and cook around the table and sit around the table and cook together. I think there are certain things in our nature as humans that cannot be replaced by online experiences. And I'm sure you would agree with me, and
Totally.
you know what I mean. And
Yes.
it's also worrying for the new generation, because we set an example for our children and for our friends, families, and it's all about a mimic is trying to clear your mind. It's more and more difficult, because I take a walk at least once a day to clear my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, because outside England this sounds crazy, but people think it must be something, you know, I'm the only one who understands taking a walk. but I wonder if what is your take in me time, offline, online?
I totally agree with you. Having, as you know, having some me time is so important, and you can only do that offline. Going for a walk, just sitting quietly on your own. That is me time, and I think you need that. One needs that to remain sane, to remain, and to be able to work at your best, and to give your best. Because if you're giving all the time, if you're with people all the time, or you're working online all the time, what's left for you? There's nothing left for you. So you have to temper it by saying, okay, I've worked for 4 hours this morning, and now I'll go for a walk. I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll go for a walk, or I'll just sit and I'll just chill out, or I'll do something. And what you said about sitting around a table with good friends and eating and talking, there is nothing in the world like that. It's just the most amazing feeling. And I think that, or I hope that a lot of our listeners will not only do that, but also by leading by example with their children and their children's children. And so I think that a lot of children will grow up with, yes, that, you know, texting and you know, when they do it so quickly, because that's how they've grown up with this technology. But also they'll see the other side of it, that, you know, and it's not just high days and holidays when there's lots of people around the table and eating, but, you know, they'll be taken out for food, and they'll go on picnics, and they'll be out in the fresh air, and they'll see what's going on in the world, you know, and taken to the sea and to the beach and to the forests, and go for walks and play outside when the weather's nice, and have friends over. And that makes a whole, that makes a complete person, because you can't be online all the time, but you can't be offline either. You have to temper both, and, you know, take each day as it comes, give your best, but actually be leading by example, because you can't say, oh, you know, bad child, you know, you're really naughty because you're texting your brother who's sitting next to you on the sofa, when you're sitting there, you know, texting away to a friend. You've got to have, you know, the me time, but family time too. That's really important, very important, to connect with people on a, you know, on a daily basis, on a, you know, offline as well as online.
Wonderful. So I will, we are coming very close to the end of our episode today. And I remember a quote which is very dear to my heart, and says that, and I'm sure you know who said this, says that life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself.
Yeah.
From me and Adrienne, is goodbye till next Thursday. And in the meantime, have plenty of offline me time. Over to you, Adrienne.
Yes, you said it perfectly. Enjoy your families, enjoy your friends, enjoy connecting with people offline as well as online. Have a wonderful week.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.